it's a delight to do the keynote for the ULearn conference, and if there was a thing to be able to get across in a short period of time, it would be to talk about the layers of learning, how we create the environments that our young people need to really embrace learning and to embrace thinking. The first layer is philosophy. So when I first went out teaching, my principal, Glyn Watkins, at Wanneroo Senior High School, said, you've got to have a philosophy. So what's your philosophy as a first year out teacher? And I'm going, boy, what do you mean? But he said, you know, don't have to tell me now, but at the beginning of term 4, share your philosophy. And really for me, I thought it through, and I thought, how was I taught a philosophy in life? And my dad, Jack, never says much. Carpenter, who left school very early, jazz musician, he's 83, still speaks with a dry humour. And one day he got me and my brother and he said, boys, listen to this record. Now a record, as I explained, is a circular black thing with a hole in the middle. But he put on a record and we're thinking it was going to be jazz. And it was an old Tex Williams song, do what you do well, boy, do what you do well. So basically he was teaching us a philosophy. Whatever we're doing, give it our best shot. Whatever you're getting stuck into, give it the best that you got, whether it's sport, whether it's school, whatever it is. So what's the philosophy of your school? If your school was a song, what song would it be? As a classroom teacher, if there's a song that summed up your philosophy, and if not a song, a type of music. Are you thrash metal? Are you sort of even balanced? The philosophy of education, philosophy of educators. The next thing is the conversations. What kind of conversations are we having, and what kind of conversations do our youngsters have? And one of the strategies that I was teaching to people in terms of conversation is this one. So in signing for our deaf community, at least in Auslan, it would be a little bit of improvement every day. And that's the Japanese word kaizen, K-A-I-Z-E-N. If you're spelling a word and you get it incorrect, instead of just marking it wrong, count the letters that are correct and to tick them. If a youngster gets 3 letters correct out of 8 and then tomorrow they get 7 letters correct out of 8, well, that's fantastic. That's a little bit of improvement every day. So what are the Kaizen things we can do as teachers? What are the Kaizen things, those tiny little nuances we can do to improve our teaching? And then linked to that is the wide Zen, that it's not just enough to do what we're already doing a little bit better. We have to use some different crayons that we haven't used before because our young folk are going into a far more complex world. So we have philosophy, the kind of conversations and the openness and robust conversations we can have in schools, and then you get to strategies. One of my favourite strategies that we'll cover in the keynote are the 3 Russian brothers and their cousin. First Russian brother, his name is Morov. So you simply look at all the good stuff that you're already doing that you can do a bit more of. What was good in that classroom? What's good in that essay that the student can do a bit more of? Second Russian brother, less of. What does this essay need a bit less of? What do we need to stop doing, do a bit less of in terms of our schools? Third Russian brother, most important one, rid of. What do we need to stop doing? What needs to stop in the next essay this student writes? What do we need to get rid of in our schools, and say that cynicism is one of the factors we need to shed? And the cousin, his name is toss in. So what new things do we need to toss into the brew? So even the Russians can become a new strategy. A conversation every month in the staff. What's the school need more of, less of, need to get rid of, new things to toss into the brew? What does that lesson need? So it's a less threatening way to do 360-degree feedback in many ways. The next layer is methodology. And it's not enough just to do a lecture. It never was enough. But we're now getting such a diverse range of students staying on in our schools right through the spectrum. Some of them used to leave early, like my dad. Now they're staying, and we need to reach them through physicality, physical learning, whether it's signing or doing, through visual aspects, and not just drawing of pictures, but pictures that make sense, added to words. So a visual note-taking, it's not mind mapping. Mind mapping is one visual strategy out of 1,000 that students can learn. But they need a whole stack of methodologies in their backpack. So rather than saying, oh, this is boring, I can't do it, to go, okay, how can I turn this information, this stuff that's important, how can I turn it into learning so I own it? And even our best students, so they're not just passing the exam, but they've really got it in their heart and in their core of what it means to them. So for all of those things, we're talking about a philosophy, we're talking about the kind of conversations in education, We're talking about the strategies, the Russians. We're talking about methodology. And finally, flowing through it all are our systems. You know, if we have a philosophy but our systems don't support it, if we believe in collaboration but we reward individual efforts, then collaboration's not going to catch on. To me, it's really for those four things at our core, but have really good systems to be able to back it up. And that's the sort of stuff that we wish for people in their schools and their communities.
Glenn Capelli, www.glenncapelli.com